How you guys doing today? I'm Mike Hudson with the Accessible Hunter podcast. As always, along with my partner in crime, Greg Trainer. We got a good show for you today. We got our buddy Jason Beard with the KT team down in South Georgia. But Greg, man, how are you doing over in PA today, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. Woke up this morning feeling good and ready to get after it with you. I've been looking at our schedule and seeing Jason and the KT team on it for a while. And I've been following those guys for a long time, been following you, Jason, for a long time. And I'm just so glad you're on the podcast with us today. And I've been looking forward to this date on the calendar for a while, boy.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, I've been excited myself.
That's one of those things. Me and Greg were talking about it right before you came on, and he's like, "You've been friends with Jason for a while," and I said, "Well, me and Jason kind of came into this thing together. We got hurt the same year and actually met at Shepherd Center, man, in '95. But for
Yeah.
some of the people that don't follow us or new to following us or don't know you, Jason, do you mind sharing a little bit about your injury?"
Yes, like you said, I did have a accident in '95, diving accident. I in the Savannah River, pretty much grew up in that river, and had a diving accident and fractured my C4 and 5 vertebra. And from there, I wound up in Savannah, and you know how all that goes. Then they transferred me to Shepherd's, and that's where uh, me and you met.
Well, Jason, I'm a C45 diving accident, complete injury myself, and another fellow graduate of Shepherd Center. And all I can say about us three good looking guys on a podcast today that we are definitely blessed to go to Shepherd Center. I credit that with saving my life and giving me the inspiration to do other things. I don't think if I'd have been at any other hospital in the country, I'd have gotten better care. And I'm really glad that you're on here talking with us and that we're all three doing what we love in the outdoors, maybe because of Shepherd Center.
I 100% agree. In fact, while I was there, I shot rifle for the first time at that camp in Alabama they have. So that was huge. And it's kind of wild within the last 6 months, maybe a year, there's been two local folks that have gotten injured, and you know they reached out like, hey, you know how it is when you first you get you're like, what in the water would you do? And that's the first place I say, oh, well, as soon as you can get them transferred to Shepherds, the quicker you gonna recover.
Man, it's wild that you said that, Jason. We had two local guys here that got paralyzed this year. And, kind of what we do with the nonprofit and, with the podcast and all that, it's just about trying to pay it forward. Not only for the folks that are near us now, but the unfortunate of people getting paralyzed each year.
Yeah,
It's something that's gonna happen. Usually it's guys, we do really stupid stuff, but all three of us are diving accidents of some form or fashion. Uh,
yeah,
and so I'm with you guys. Get to Shepherd as fast as you can and really dive into your therapeutic wreck.
yeah. I
Here,
agree.
here's the thing too, we've all grown up around water and it
Mhm.
wasn't like we were diving off of a platform, doing anything that we hadn't done 1,000 times before. And when we talk about diving and being aware of the water and what can happen, I just want to do a little outreach to tell people, think about what you're doing, think about the what if, because it was something so simple that changed all of our lives
Mhm.
forever, changed our families' lives, and just really pay attention to what you're doing and where you're diving and how you're doing it.
I agree with that. In fact, if unless you're competing like swimming or some sort of, you know, diving type deal, I wouldn't recommend it. Like you say, it's pretty. You never know.
Right.
You never know.
It's one of those things we can't take it back. The good Lord, he knew what he was doing when we got hurt. We could always look in hindsight. It's easier to fix a broken leg than it is a broken neck.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the same token, I mean, Greg hit the nail on the head. Nobody was horsing around doing anything that was just over the top. It's not like we're doing high risk platform dives or
Well,
anything.
that's right.
But to get back on task, dude, I've known you for a long time, had the pleasure of hunting with you and hanging with you and listening to all the times and just around the shop or eating cold biscuits or just
Yeah.
having a blast, brother. And I thank you for those memories, and I look forward to a lot more. But can you tell us a little bit about how you guys got started with the KT team?
Yes, I sure will. Whenever, after my accident and went to Shepherd's and all, went to that camp, I shot that rifle. And when we got home, we ordered it. And of course, y'all know when it comes to injury levels, you got to personalize everything.
Mhm.
There's no one mount or one piece of equipment or whatever that works for everybody. That's just something you learn the hard way. So we got it home and did the best we could with it, and actually killed my first turkey with my friend that went. His name's Daniel Thompson. He was with me at the camp. So that was a pretty cool memory that he was with me for the first turkey, because I didn't hunt turkeys before my accident. That was actually something I picked up after. Well, when I shot the turkey, I get him obviously all excited. My buddy Daniel runs out and gets him and comes back. He's like, "What's wrong, man? You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right. I got my first turkey." He's like, "No, man, you're bleeding." And I had blood. It started dripping off my chin, and just from the way it was set up, those turkey loads, are
Yeah.
stout anyway. And I just stayed behind it, aiming for the turkey. So it busted my lip to get to, is what happened. And so after the fact, a man I grew up with and went to church with, Charlie Boswell,
Yeah.
he, after church that Sunday, he was like, "I heard you got your first turkey," and I told him the story, and he was like, "Well, I probably can help, you know, in some way," because he had a machine shop. He, designed chokes for shotguns. He was just a heck of a machinist and just really smart man. Well, I go up there, and he kind of figures on what we need. Well, a couple weeks later, he called me and he was like, "Hey, come try it out." So I did. This was like 2000, probably somewhere right along in there, 99, 2000. Well, when we went out to shoot it, he was like, "Hey, Kerry, come out here with us." And he was like, "Jay, I wanted to meet, you know." He introduced me and Kerry. Well, we instantly become friends from that meeting, and started hunting, pretty well that right after that, and have been since we think it was 2000. It might have been a year or two before that, but at least 2000. So we've been
Yeah.
hunting for like 25 years. And then I think it was 2017, that spring, God had been laying on my heart to do something. You know how as you grow spiritually and just mature a little bit, it's just, Jesus softens our heart, Holy Spirit kind of guide you in certain directions, and, He laid it on our heart to do something with, to share it, because
Yeah.
we were having so much fun. I mean, we had built kind of a team around us anyway. There's a group of 4 or 5 of us that would go pretty well every spring. And that that spring of 2017, we had a successful hunt, and we kind of talked about it. It's like, man, we need to share. You know, how can we? And we started praying about it, and that summer of 2017, we, you know, filed the papers for the IRS stuff, you know, and started the KT team, the nonprofit. So, and I asked Carrie, hey, you care if I name it, you know, in some way after you, because you know, I mean, you've been with us, Mike. I mean, he would drive an hour to come get me, an
Yeah.
hour back to, you know, where he lived, where or wherever the turkeys were. You know, we would
Yeah.
go wherever, and before daylight. You know, so we started 3:34 in the morning trying to do all this, and we did. And like I say, we've hunted together for 25 years, but we started the KT team, and I you know, we all call them KT, and
Yeah.
that's why I saw it. And then the team aspect of it. I mean, we knew we're not wealthy folks, so we knew, you know, God would have to provide through a lot of people, and a lot of volunteers and sponsors and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, that was sort of the thought process of the naming of it. But yeah, we started our first hunt in 2018 with Mr. Chesley Pitts, and he got his. I was 71 at the time, I think, and got his first turkey. You know, he was an amputee, and I had been trying for a few years, but since then, I think we've taken 50 something ish people. I don't know how many states, a good bit, 15 or 16. As far as Utah, up your way, Greg, you know, north, well, yeah, New York. So they've been,
Okay.
and of course, all over the Southeast, you know, it's, you know, it's been really, really cool.
Jason, I've been following you for a long time and everything you do in the community, the disability community. And just such a blessing what you've done, putting that team around you and getting the community involved. We can't do anything by ourselves. At least I don't think anyone does anything alone. You have friends and family that make this kind of thing happen. And to be able to take 50 people with disabilities out, and whether they get a turkey or not, that's not the point. It's getting them outside, getting them in the turkey blind. But you guys have had a lot of success with getting people turkeys. And I know you're a championship caller, and the guys around you are championship callers, and you really know so much about turkey hunting in the outdoors that you're able to get people with high level spinal cord injuries back out there and be successful. Um, I know that you've recently had a pretty good fundraiser with Ann Wilson, and it takes a lot of money to fund an operation like this. You want to tell us a little bit about that, about your fundraising and how you get people in the outdoors?
Yeah, absolutely. We we have local support. Like we have a banquet every year, style deal gala that a lot of local folks help with. But long term goals would be to have a small lodge and some land, that's dedicated just to the KT team. Because we do lease land. We don't really own any, so we lease it. And we realized, to get to that point, we're going to have to, kind of pray on it and do things a little different. You just can't raise those funds locally with local support. So we tried a couple, I guess you'd say like a concert deal, and we booked several Christian artists. And Wilson is super. You know, we've done four, um, events with her, and her family are awesome. Like she's, her story, testimony goes along really well with the KT team because her career was birthed through her brother's accident. Like
Yeah.
he was killed in a car accident, and she sang the first time in public at his funeral, and then recorded, I think YouTube or social media, recorded a video of the song she sang, and it went kind of viral. And from there, folks in Nashville reached out. But so those events with her wouldn't even exist without two tragic accidents, and God working through that as he does. He works for the good for all who love him. I mean, that's only something God could do. So those events are really cool. But yes, well, I mean, we booked like Crowder and Josh Baldwin, We the Kingdom, Ben Fuller. It's been really cool that, and we want to do more of it because we're a faith-based organization, and it's a it's cool worship night too.
Yeah.
Give God the glory for all that He does for us, the KT team, and just kind of sharing the gospel. So that's pretty neat too.
I know your heart, dude, and that's what's always shined with me, Greg or Jason. It's always a blessing, dude, to be able to get down there and hunt with you. I'm spoiled that I know you on such a personal level, and we get to share so much. And that's what I've always enjoyed, dude. And I love everything you guys do with the KT team, but I love so much more that you got that outreach for souls, man. You're really wanting to put people in seats so you can talk about what it really comes down to. And this is one of the unique things that a lot of people don't understand. Greg kind of touched on it just a second. This is one of those things that the KT team is so special in is that all these guys are nationally ranked, grand nationally ranked callers. You can't put a team together like that just on a whim. This is one of those things that's uniquely designed. I don't think people can really fathom it. If you just were to hear about it's one thing. But if you see it on paper and you see the superstars that are in this thing, I mean, these guys are Super Bowl quarterbacks of the turkey calling world, man. These guys are top notch. And so, man, I'm just excited to be able to share a little bit about who you guys are, all the avenues in which you do it. But tell us a little bit about some of the guys that are on the KT team.
Yeah, to me I knew obviously from Carrie, us going through the years that we could help, folks like me and y'all in chairs. I knew we'd help, you know, the physically challenged individuals, whatever challenge they had. I felt like we could help them, but the extent we have, I had no idea. That's something pretty cool to me. I've become way more faithful and just if God lays it on your heart, don't be so thoughtful. Just be faithful and not so thoughtful. We tend to like, well, how are we going to do that? How are we going to pay for this? All those thoughts run through your mind. Satan puts fear in you initially from the start. But I've been so faithful in that, just kind of moving. Me and Carrie was even from the beginning. We was like, are we even going? How are we? He could barely take me. How are we going to take anybody else? Because that you only had so much time. He was working full time when we first started. And pretty much I was too. But you stepped out in faith, and you've met some of them, been fortunate, but man, Dave Owens, um, Matt Van Sice, Mark Prudhomme, Zach Conaway. There's so many that actually have come down and helped. Jason Conrad, um, John Paget.
Yeah.
So many that have come down, and it's really wild because they're folks Carrie knew through the turkey calling because, like you said, how would this even come about?
Right.
Well, Carrie was 7-time Grand National Champion. When pretty much when we met was at kind of the peak of his when he was winning and all. And all of that. And, we never hardly talked about it. Like I knew he was, competitive, but I never been to contest and
Yeah.
all of that. I mean, that come along 10 or 15 years later. He
Yeah.
he was real humble with it. He wasn't like, hey, I just won the Grand Nationals or whatever. So we just hunted like that. That was, we had 8 or 10 chances a year to go together. And that's all we did was hunt. So, a lot of success, like actually, harvesting a turkey and helping someone in our condition, there's a lot of, him being thoughtful and figuring out ways to get a turkey in that little small window of 30, 35 yards and, you know, 10 to 2 little area. I mean, we can, how immobile we are. I mean, so a lot of the true success comes from him being thoughtful and then teaching some of these other guys that can flat call them, teaching them the techniques we've used. And we're still adapting stuff. I mean,
Sure.
since you've been hunting with us, we started using those golf carts and hunting off the golf carts and, being a little more mobile. That way, we used to hunt property more than we did turkeys. Property we
Yeah.
could just drive wheelchairs around on versus just really where the turkeys are because they're normally around creeks and rivers and places chairs aren't, you know, designed
And
to go, obviously. But
and Jason, what a lot of people may not realize, and I mean, you touched on this, we have a small window out of a ground blind or wherever we're hunting that's maybe 10 or 15 yards left or right that we're able to move our mount and be able to figure out where that turkey's going to be, where they're coming in at. And it's not like you're hunting all season. When you're bringing folks in for these hunts, you got a day or two that you have to try to get on these birds. You have the weather to deal with. You have the individual birds moving around the property, all the scouting that goes into this. For a person with a high level spinal cord injury to harvest a turkey on that particular day at that particular time, there's a lot of things working behind the scenes, scouting and through the power of God that enables people to be successful on this.
you're so right, Greg. We've been doing it 25 years, and we still in tier. You wouldn't know we're 8 years old or 48. I mean, it's because of that. Like it's like, whoa, how did we even do that again? It's so hard to start with and to do it, um, you know, multiple times a year. That even gets to a different level. So it's really it's if you turkey hunt and you come and spend a few days, weeks, and see what goes on in the spring, you know how real God is. Yeah, I mean, just to bring all that together, like, you know, it's not realistic that, for that to just happen, I
Right.
mean, that's definitely, you know, and this has been since pretty much my whole life, but definitely after my accident, those spring mornings waking up, man, you know, I pray more. Just feel his presence more, just feel favor, kind of a small glimpse of what it was like in the garden and what it's going to be for eternity, just a little old glimpse of it. And I don't know, there's healing for people, it definitely gives you I mean, there's nothing fun about getting up every day riding around in a chair. We
No.
make the best of it, to kind of make the best of what we dealt with. But to do that, that's about like you, Mike, running a marathon. I mean, it just don't. That's a big commitment from a lot of people, and
You said a lot right there, Jason. Man, it is a team. There's a lot of moving parts in there, and if we're trying to get somebody that's in a chair, it doesn't matter about your brake level. It's difficult. We've got mobility and modality devices. We got Be Adaptive that are helping us with trigger mechanisms and rifle rest, and the amount of time that Carrie has poured into getting me to a stand early AM, and all these moving parts. Dude, it is a monstrous team effort. Um, One of the things that I've always enjoyed, dude, I enjoy your friendship. I hope you understand how
oh
much I truly pleasure in being able to be around you guys. And Carrie, like you said, is one of the most humble guys I've ever been around. It's mind blowing. I wish people could understand on these podcasts just when you've got a guy of his caliber taking time to explain why he's doing what he's doing. He's not only trying to make you successful as a hunter, but he's also trying to teach you um, time stamped opportunities into how you can be a better caller and all around
yeah.
conservationist. You don't see that every day.
No, you don't. He, I mean, I don't know how many calls he's built me, to help just me call and, to compete some. I haven't done that in the last couple of years much. I've had a few health issues, but the amount of calls and come and, help me call. And, Zach Conaway's made me calls, but Terry has for 20 some years, made different calls. And, we only use like a diaphragm call with reeds, like for years. But now, through Terry, started using some trumpet calls. We've mounted
Mhm.
them with different little, mounts to use a trumpet, and that's cool. Mark Prudhomme designed them. He's like a grand national call maker champion. So and I can say it because they're friends or whatnot, but they are the best. Some of the best turkey callers and hunters. I don't know if there's such thing as a good turkey hunter, to be honest. They're so hard that I've hunted with the best and they call and sometimes they don't come. So, you know what I mean? Your percentage in turkey hunting, man, it make baseball look like, you know,
Sure.
you 300 hitters good, great. You know, they get paid millions in baseball, but yeah, I don't know what the percentage is in turkey hunt, but it isn't 300. I know that. It's hard.
J-
But no, I'm joking there. I've been fortunate, Mike and all these guys and girls. We take, a lot of girls
Oh yeah.
that hunt with us. They get to hunt with, you know, some of the best turkey callers in the world. And
Mhm.
I still kind of scratch my head like, what in the world, Because the first time I met some of them, like Matt Van Sice and Dave, I met him, as he was becoming champion. We met at a Georgia contest and become friends, all of us, and kind of watched him become. He's won 2 Grand Nationals now, and but to meet them, I'd rather. I'm probably more excited to meet Grand National turkey calling champions than a football Super
sure.
Bowl MVP. But anyway, it's pretty cool.
Jason, when you have the opportunity to go to these calling contests and the National Wild Turkey Federation events and things, what's it like getting there, using your chair, the accessibility of the contest? I know you compete it, you go to quite a few things like this. What's it like, accessibility wise?
It's good. It's good as it can be. Grand National level, like in Nashville, they have ADA, you know, compliant ramps and all to get on stage. Now, some of your local contests, there's been times where I just roll up to the edge of the stage, or, um, but I mean, it's normally in a public facility of some sort, and rarely do you have much issue. It it's fun. It's even more fun to see other ones like Chris King. He's
Yeah.
doing
Oh, yeah,
now, and just to see, Tim Murdoch.
Yeah.
He's called and some of them in Nashville and whatnot. So I would like to see that. So even more, um, disabled individuals kind of give it a shot. There's it's it. I tell you what it is, and it's just like the hunting aspect of it. The individuals you meet and get to hang out with, or they're all just really good people. Just
sir.
fun to go hang out, and the bonus, they teach you how to call better. That's
You
it's
know, the uniqueness, man, of being able to sit in a deer camp or whatever and just being able to share bread, break bread, be able to talk to folks. That's what it's about. It's not always about a harvest. It's about
yeah.
really making a connection. I'm spoiled, dude. I'm just I'll admit it. I get to hunt with Jason and them. I think one of my favorite memories, well, I got several of them with you, brother, but one of my favorites is right behind your house. Uh,
Yeah.
you calling to a turkey, we're trying to get him to come across the river back there behind your house. And then for you people don't understand this. Jason's driving with a sip and puff chair, and then running a diaphragm call. And so he rolled towards the river a little bit, spun his chair 180 and started coming back towards me while he's calling, trying to entice this turkey, letting him know, hey, I'm over here, but I'm walking away from you. I mean, you can't it was exciting, Greg, to have two guys that are quads in the woods, and Jason's got this bird so confused. He's trying to figure out how to swim.
I,
It's fun. It's one of them tricks KT uses.
Yeah.
It's particularly when they're on the roost, he'll walk as close as he can, do
Mhm.
like a fly down cackle and walk away. Pretty much like the hen flew down and walking away from the gobbler, and walks right back to us wherever the blind is. And that one's the best, that one works more times than not if you can get in there, close enough to do that. You know how turkeys are. They're not always where you think they're going to be. But yeah, that is, and I agree. I agree. Shoot, the eating part's fun. JoJo and Brendan Newman, you've been there a bunch. And there's so many others, but that's like an annual, you know, place that we all go to eat and meet up for lunch, after the hunts. That's a ton of fun. It's fun, man. It's a lot of it's a and God's, you said spoiled and blessed, and I connect to that because, man, I had some from time I got hurt. I had tremendous help. Family, for one, my mom and dad, Earl and Wanda Beard, they were, I don't know, I'm very undeserving of that, having their support, and all of my aunts and uncles and cousins and my grandpa, my papa and nana, you know, I just, and the friends that help with, I don't know if y'all remember, but when you're in Shepherd's, um, one of the kind of sadder things is not everybody does have that support,
Yeah.
There
Right.
was somebody coming in and out of my room all the time, bringing me something, fruit, or just coming to pray for me or whatever. And,
Yeah.
some never did,
That's right.
and
That's right.
that's some of, the thought process, and what the KT team hopefully does is, some that don't have a friend like Carrie, to take you, that, we're there for you. And, it is like a big team, once you come, you remember the team then. So you kind of, I don't know of really anyone, honestly, that has only come on one hunt. You know how
Yeah.
it is, Mike. We usually
Yeah.
got, you get to see everybody a couple times a year, And of course, we all talk a lot of times on the phone or whatever, but that, um, just the,
Bonds happen fast.
oh man,
Yes, sir.
it's, it's really like family, I mean, once you
100%.
kind of,
Yeah.
everybody's so um, genuine with their love for each other. It's a blessing to be a part of.
Jason, if we can kind of change gears here a little bit, I know that you hunt down south and you're just phenomenal turkey hunter. Is there another hunt that you'd like to go on? Do you have a bucket list of hunts other than turkeys that you'd like to do, or do you get to do pretty much any other hunting?
I deer hunt a lot. I do. Um, we we were fortunate, me, Carrie, and Angie, and that's one behind the scenes that, wow. Angie Terrell, Carrie's wife,
Yeah.
she we have a website with turkey calls and merch and whatnot. She does probably, I don't know, 90% of that. Just, behind that kind of stuff behind the scenes. And I mean, she helps Carrie with even some of the wildlife management, just tractor, drive the track, whatever it is to do, she likes to do. Other than
Yeah.
being the limelight, she
Sure.
would prefer me and Carrie do the talking and the picture taking and whatnot. But to get back to your question, we all three were invited out to Texas to Darren Hilliard's ranch with Sandy Brady. Sandy's a huge part of the
Yeah.
team. And I got a Rio out there because there's the Grand Slam, is
Yeah.
like you kill 4 different subspecies of wild turkeys. So I got both of us did out there, and Angie, like we all got Rios out there. And then I think like a year after that, I was invited down to Florida. Jeff Buds, he invited us down there and got an Osceola. So I got one more. Of course, I've got Easterns around here. So I
Yeah.
got one more. I like Kerry hadn't got the Osceola yet, but when he goes down and gets the Osceola, we kind of go out for a Rio. Not a Rio, a Miriam would
Miriam.
Yeah.
probably be the easier of the other ones. But that would be cool. And I've heard elk hunting's, some people say it's turkey hunting on steroids, when they bugle and all that. That terrain seems a little tough, but I've talked to people that said there's places they thought, it might be realistic, but that that Grand Slam would be, probably my bucket list if I had to. That'd be the best way to do it. And as we push the issue of what the KT team's capable of providing, for others, one is traveling. If we
Yeah.
ever stumble up on some way to fly or, you know, a mobile home or RV that you can get out your chair for a little while. I mean, because it's for instance, the Texas trip, it was 2 days, 2 days there,
Mhm.
so 4 days of traveling on the road for 4 days of hunting.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and to get to a Miriam is 3 days. So you're gonna be 6 days traveling for maybe a 2 day.
Yes, sir.
So it that part, is what trying to figure out. We've been invited by a lot of folks. Hey, y'all, when y'all ready, we are. It's just figuring out how to do it.
Yep.
That's all. The logistical nightmare that coincides with quadriplegia, and just trying to figure out all the moving parts, and then you add in pressure sores, and what are you going to do about getting from A to B? And
Yeah,
man, it's mindful, dude. It's easy to get down a negative pathway if we really allowed it to be that way.
yeah,
Uh, I've been in the woods where me and you have stacked deer up. I know you've killed some pigs, and it's always a blast, dude. And I'm looking forward to a lot more hunts with you. And I know what's your season looking like right now, because I'm sure I've seen Carrie and them, getting some chufa and different stuff planted, and you guys got a dove hunt and all that scheduled, and
we
how's
do, man. Kerry sent me a video this morning, actually, where he's pre. We have a huge supporter in Ted Davis. He's a farmer here locally, and he planted some corn for us this year in the dove field. And first September is usually dove season.
yeah,
So he started mowing some corn to give them, something to eat, kind of get them coming to that field. And that will be our next hunt. That'd be the big hunt. If anyone's interested, just kind of reach out to us. I'm sure y'all have some links to the website or whatnot.
We'll certainly put those out there for you, Jason, because you guys are doing great work. And I know that there's a lot of people in the South, but also in the North here that would want to come down and travel down to meet you and go on some hunts with you. And we'll definitely get your information out there for sure.
That'd be good. That dove hunting's great. Our deer hunts are, to me, deer hunting honestly is a little easier than turkey hunting,
Oh
just
yeah.
because we've fortunate to have a lot of whitetails in the area. So the deer hunting, I don't know. We never say it's guaranteed that you'll get one, but you more than likely you'll get a shot at one. You know,
Your your batting average might go up a little more on whitetails. Is that
yeah,
what you're
it
saying, Jason?
definitely does, definitely does. Yeah, and we're not all that particular about, uh, Carrie likes to say, a trophy is what makes you, heart pump. Like whatever gets you excited, that's the trophy. We don't
Right.
necessarily manage for big bucks. Now we've got places where they definitely are, but long story short, if you want some deer meat and some sausage, we we don't mind you shooting
There
whatever
you go.
comes out.
We're excited about being able to help promote some of this stuff, and I'm proud to be part of the KT team. Man, I've been able to go to Nashville with you guys and do a laundry list of just stuff. Angie, dude, you hit the nail on the head. That's one of the unsung heroes. We don't prop her up enough. I've been blessed to be in a deer stand with Angie and just cutting up. And what people don't know
Yeah.
is she's super competitive, humble as they come. But dude, it's just people don't see the behind the scenes, all the extra work that goes into it. Want to give them all a huge shout out, and we'll definitely be tagging links to stuff you guys got going on and how people can get involved. But for somebody that's newer or listening to the podcast, how would they get involved? What's the easiest way for somebody new to get in touch with you guys?
Probably jump on our website and there you can send in a link there. Just shoot us an email. Probably the best way. You can our phone number is on there. Call us. That's usually. But we also have Instagram, Facebook. You can shoot us a message on those. So, and it's all like the KT team. So you can find us that way. But so website or social media is the best route. TikTok, we have TikTok.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, Jason, we sure appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on the podcast with us. And I know that we're running a little bit out of time, but would love to have you back on after the season and maybe talk about some of the hunters that come down and get an opportunity to go with you guys. Mike, did you have anything you wanted to follow up with? Or
Man, it's one of those things, dude. It's always hard because me and Jason are interacting on these podcasts, but we've got a lot of history together, and so it makes it difficult when you're trying to share stories because we know it, but being able to convey it sometimes is difficult. I'd love to have you back on, Jason. Man, there's a ton of time we've been able to, break bread together and, spend a lot of times in church together and man, I want to do a lot more of that. And it's one of those things. It's about getting people involved. It's a community. The disability world's a really small world when it gets down to it, and we just want to be able to share more of people's passions and what we got just a small glimpse of it. I don't want to talk too much, but we got just a small glimpse of what I really love about Jason Beard is that laugh, dude. Being able to be in the woods with him and to hear that dude cackle, it just that's always heartwarming because we can get down a dirty road real quick if you just look at paralysis and everything that goes. But to see this guy's passion to give back, I just want to say thank you again, Jason, for taking time, man, and
Yeah, man.
sharing the KT team with so many people, dude. Thank you for listening to your call and really getting after it, man. Thank you.
Well, thank you, man. Roar does pretty amazing things. Tell Michael I said hey, and heck yeah, thank y'all for coming. Having me on. It was fun. We'll do it again.
Heck yeah. It's always more time for more opportunities, God willing, dude.
That's right. I agree.
we're gonna link up some stuff with you, and we'll make sure we get this stuff tagged so that everybody knows how to get in touch with you. Save some dates, man. Let's me and you get after it again if we can.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, folks. Well, that's the podcast for today. And we really appreciate Jason coming on and everything him and the KT team do for people with disabilities in the outdoors. Thanks for listening, and we so much appreciate you.